We are here for week number 15 of the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series here at the Cayce Autosports Complex here in Cayce, South Carolina. The last time the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series drivers hit the track was at the New Jersey Motor Speedway, where Jake Killen took home the checker flag in that race, leading 70 of 147 laps. We've had a lot of storylines heading into this weekend, as the first has to do with driver changes, as we've had 3 drivers injured and 2 suspended, as the 3 injured drivers should be able to race. The first of which is that Shane Harden had sustained a bruised left foot in a crash that happened, I believe, on lap 85. He sustained that injury on lap number 85, with Mike Hogan also sustaining a concussion in that same accident. Shane Nargan had sustained a concussion in a wreck earlier in the race. All 3 will be running the second race. And as for the driver suspensions, 2 drivers will be suspended. Luke Warren will also be suspended 1 race for causing an avoidable collision, a clearly avoidable collision on lap number 70, while Cameron Brooks will be suspended for 2 races for causing multiple collisions throughout that weekend. Warren will be replaced by Travis Johnson, who replaced him earlier in the year due to Warren's shoulder injury, while Cameron Brooks will be replaced by Keenan Forster. Forster will be making his Verizon Cup Series debut in car number 33 here at Cayce. Another big storyline that's been going on throughout the season has been the officiating controversies that has been happening over the past several weeks. 2 big ones happened in the Dirt Series and also in the Razor Aero Series. In the Aero Series race, despite many accidents happening throughout the final 10 laps of the race, the officials decided not to throw the yellow flag. As a result, led to a mad scramble of the finish, and even led one car crashing, coming to the checker flag, then being John Hoover in car number 13. And then the Gillette Dirt Series race at Fulton Speedway had the restart completely jammed up while the officials decided to pull the base car back in when the field was not ready to go. As those were 2 big drivers. Were the truck race, they were strictly down and monitored, as due to the controversy that happened at that race, there were still some calls, but mostly it was just for no caution calls. And now for our silly season, as there were a lot of silly season notes that come out. The first was Arona Racing will make big changes to the team. The team will cut the 74 and the 95 teams, which the 74 is currently driven by Marcus Powell, and the 95 is currently driven by Evan Brooks. Brooks will remain to the team, move over to the 75 car, which is currently driven by Carson Brooks. Brooks will not return to that team due to a severe poor performance by that number 75 team of Carson Brooks. And Red Robin, the current sponsor of car number 10, will move over to the number 10, currently driven by Sean McDowell. eBay, which is currently the sponsor of the 66 of Jason Duke, will end a 8-year partnership, and the potential new sponsor will be Energizer for Jason Duke in car number 16. Steve Volk will also leave Piper Incorporation. He will replace Thomas Sawyers in the 16, the first 2 drivers that Howell Racing need to replace. They still haven't found any driver for the 28 of Matt Hamlin, as Carson Brooks will also be a candidate for that 29 car that Volk will be departing. And the other big storyline coming into the silly season is that Miller Lite, the current part-time sponsor of the number 12 of Case Lester, will move over to the 22 of Cody Wyke and become a full-time sponsor on that 22 of Cody Wyke. And now, before we get to the actual track info and race notes, we'll get to our race rules. The rules are kind of similar to a standard NOVAR race, as there will be 2 200-lap races, and both will reward full points. So the maximum points you can get in both races will be 45, and they will be split up based on the qualifying groups that happened throughout the weekend. So this has been a long time. I actually do apologize for the long race recap, but let's finally get to the track info. The Cayce Autosports Complex was opened in 1951. However, the NOVAR Verizon Cup Series did not race here until the 2013 season, and it will be the first time, and it will be only the second time that the rules will be held here. The last time was last year, where Carson Brooks and Shane Nargan took the checker flag. Nargan would gain 1 of 2 victories that would help him win the title in 2014 due to the tiebreaker he sustained with Cody Wyke. Winning the Aflac pole award here is Brian Wilson, car number 90, with Shane Howard, car number 03, starts on the outside. Nick Dunnigan making his first start since, I believe, at Chicagoland. He starts in the 4th spot. 5th is Thomas Lawyers. Tobias Newbridge, car number 96, Caroline Salvatore. They make up row number 5. Highest career start for car number 96, Tobias Newbridge. The highest South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge qualifier was Edward Miller, car number 93. He starts in the 21st spot. Travis Johnson starts in 28th, and rounding out the field is Connor Stanton in car number 63. Shane Kinston, 21, starts in last. And the other 2 South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge starters starting 34th and 35th. Keith Jesse starting in 34th, and Corey Lawyer starting 35th. So we are underway here at the Cayce Duel, the first race of the Cayce Duels, the first round of 2. Brian Wilson led on the field of the restart and gets a really good start over Shane Howard in car number 03. Shane Truex in 73 follows suit and immediately takes that second spot away from Howard. Thomas Lawyers in car number 16 is following third. Brian Wilson already has a huge lead coming to the end of the first lap as Truex looks like he appears to clear the 03 of Shane Howard, and Wilson leads the first lap. We would have a first caution lap number 5. Ray Lennox would get into Austin Ward, which gets into Cayce Littinger, and Littinger would spin in the front straightaway well. Moko Mansell in car number 46 hits the front end of the number 5 of Littinger. Littinger would keep on going. Marcus Powell and Carter Pavis would get together on the back straightaway, and Avis Rapex in car number 07 would run into the pit wall, would run into the end of the wall. The 07 would be done for the day as a result of this crash. Brian Wilson would lead on the restart. Lap number 10 was Shane Truex in car number 73 in second. Thomas Lawyers in the 16 and third. Keith Hales car number 27 in fourth. Looks like Wilson still holding the line as they are going to be running single file for about the first or so laps. Lawyers in the 16 is immediately going to make a challenge under Truex, and looks like Lawyers will try to contest for that spot. But then we've got our second caution, lap number 11. Cayce Littinger would pull in front of Shane Kinston and would send the 5 car around. The 5 would continue on going as a result of that. Just like the last restart, Brian Wilson led on the restart with Thomas Lawyers. The second, Lawyers was able to get by the 73 for that second spot. Shane Howard, the 03, immediately tries to take that 4th spot away from Keith Hales. Looks like Lawyers and will be able to try to hold off that 73 of Shane Truex. Wilson and Lawyers are currently teammates, and so Hal Wilson is running 1-2 right now here at Cayce, with Wilson in the 90 leading the way. Wilson's had a struggle year in that number 90 car, but it's great to see him lead. Here's 2 of the South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge drivers that we're focused on. The first is Keith Jesse in car number 80. Jesse, who is currently in the South Carolina Part-Timers Challenge, he's actually entered every single one of them so far. And then the car up ahead of them in car number 93, that's Edward Miller. Miller attempted to qualify for the Verizon Cup Championship 400 in last year's event, but however he DNQ'd. Here's Corey Lawyers in car number 49 for Hal Wilson Racing. Corey Lawyers is expected to move up into the Truck Series next year and run the full season in that one, as he is currently running in the Kellogg Southeast Division. I believe he sits in the top 5 in the point standings as we exit out of turn number 4. There you see the caution come out, and there you see it actually behind what started it. Shane Kinston in the 21 get hit by Gordon Billard. Shane Clark the 3rd would send the 21 upside down, and the 21 would just be sliding down the racetrack as car number 24 of Shane Kinston will go out of the race. Ryan Pierce to car number 2 would lead on the restart thanks in part to pit strategy, with Evan Brooks in the 95 going to immediately take a challenge for the lead, with the 3 of Austin Work running in 3rd. Brooks already has the lead, but Ryan Pierce in the 2 is trying to fight back on the outside. As there you see the 95 of Brooks. Brooks still trying to get there. Brooks trying to get the run off the corner. They nearly make contact, but you see Howard in the 25 on the wall. And so you see the 2 and the 95 still battling it out. Pearson in the 2 running it wide, but we have another caution lap number 30. Moko Mansell would smash into the outside wall in car number 46. We would have another incident as a result. Connor Stanton would slide up into Kyle Eichson. Travis Johnson to Bias Newbridge actually got a small piece of that. And the 96 Domino's Dodge Charger for Newbridge. Corey Lawyers on the 49 would lead on the restart with Keith Hales in the 27 in second. Gordon Billard, car number 91 in third. Brian Wilson has clawed his way up back to 4th as Lawyers is making his first career start in car number 49, is currently holding his line very well. He got stuck on the outside, but Keith Hales in car number 27, they make contact there, and they almost tried to throw each other into the wall, but looks like Hales backs it off as Keith Hales will then take the lead away. We've got our next caution lap 41. Carson Brooks gets turned in front of Stephen Volk, Brian Dawson, Carter Pavis, and I believe Jonathan Winslow also got a piece of that as well. We will restart this race on lap 46 with Wilson back in the lead of this race with Ray Landelson in car number 78 in second. Landelson had a very good run in last year's event, and I believe he finished inside the top 5 in last year's event, which I believe was just only his second career top 5 finish. So far, good run for car number 78 and Ray Landesall. Landesall going to try to challenge for the lead here, trying to bump him out of the way, but that didn't work. But Landesall is still trying to peek to the bottom of the racetrack as Billard in the 91 still holding it bay. We would actually have a decent green flag run until Cayce Littinger would get turned by Nick Dunnigan. The 5 would spin it across the track, and nobody else would appear to hit the 5 car of Cayce Littinger. So Brian Wilson still led on the restart, but he had a couple of cars up ahead. That was Shane Howard, Shane Kinston, Ryan Pearson, and Tobias Newbridge. George Davis in car number 37 was running in second. Near contact between him and Jared Lansall in car number 13. However, Lanto would get karma come back as he gets turned by Darren DeBose in car number 99. Both of those cars will continue on going. Lanto was, I believe, trying to challenge for third, but it didn't really matter because George Davis, car number 37, would lead on this restart with, I believe, the second place car being Evan Brooks, the 95. The 93 of Edward Miller's, I believe, a couple laps down as a result, as the 37 would go on there. Howard in the 03 would spin himself in front of the 5 of Casey Littinger. That would bring out our ninth caution, our eighth caution, excuse me, of the race. George Davis in the 37 will lead on this restart with the 93 still behind him. Evan Brooks still trying to go for second, but Brian Wilson will immediately take the challenge and pass that 95 for that second spot, as they are still lining up a little bit. George Davis, car number 37, trying to look for his first win in over 5 years. Keith Chesney was having a good run, running in the top 5. Well, until that happened, and he turns himself in front of Scott Howard. Spins car, gets hit by Ryan Pearson. Jared Lanzo. Lanzo gets hit by Darren DeBose, and then Jesse gets hit by Chris Bell. So a tough luck for Keith Jesse, who was running in the top 10 at the time, and I believe he was running very close to the top 5. He unfortunately will drop out of the race. George Davis, car number 37, was still in the lead in this restart with Evan Brooks in the 95 running in second. Brian Wilson, car number 90, is still running in third, as David's in the 37, still holding that line. David's has been pretty strong so far in the 37 car for this race. Our 10th and final caution will come out at lap 139 as Darren DeBose runs into the pit wall, as in this case it brings out a yellow flag, although it's happened a lot. Caroline Salvatore in car number 7 will lead on this restart with a couple of cars up behind him. Second place is gonna, I believe, be Kyle Eichson in the 05. Actually, George Davis there in the 37. However, he's trapped behind Kyle Eichson in the 05. Luckily for George Davids, and the unfortunate bad news for Caroline Salvatore in car number 7, as Salvatore is sponsored by Waffle House, which signed a few weeks ago. Davids in the 37 would immediately take the challenge for lead. Davids would eventually get by all the lap cars, and George Davids would immediately get to the lead and would retake the lead away from Caroline Salvatore. And George Davids would appear to be set sailing. However, in the closing stages of this race, the 95 of Evan Brooks would be able to run down. The 37 of Brooks would actually be able to run down the 7 of Caroline Salvatore, pass him by, and the Brooks would actually have a chance to get by the 37 of George Davids, as this is coming with, I believe, 2 laps to go. We'll have to see about that, as this is actually the 37 of Davids running, has about a half a second gap over the race leaders as they head out of turn number 2. Brooks is already there in the 95 as they see the 21 of Shane Kinston. Kinston's probably going to be a factor in the finish as David's trying to run low, Brooks is trying to run high. Edward Miller in the 93 is a lap car, and we're going to be taking the white flag this time by car number 90, the 37 of George Davids, looking for his first win in over 9 years. Evan Brooks tries to find the opening, however, George Davids immediately gets to the bottom, gets by the 21, and Brooks in the 95 will have one more chance. Brooks tries to power in the middle of 3 and 4, but it's not going to be enough. George Davids will score his 4th career victory and his first win in over 9 years. So George Davids scores his first victory in over 9 years here at Cayce, leading 87 of 200 laps, and held off a late charge by Evan Brooks to take the checkered flag. Brooks, as I mentioned, finishes second in car number 95. Scott Howard, car number 25, finishes his race in third. Very strong car from that 25 car. Brian Wilson, car number 90, the only other high lead lap car. He led 82 laps en route to finishing 4th. Caroline Salvatore, car number 7, finishes in the 5th spot, 1 lap down. Connor Stanton, car number 63, really good run for that 63 of Connor Stanton. He finishes in 6th. Carter Pavis, car number 4, very quiet all year, and finishes this race in 7th. Justin Klingston, car number 24, finishes in the 8th spot. 9th is Gordon Billard in the 91. He is the last car to finish on the lead lap, and 2nd straight top 10 finish for Gordon Billard. So Billard's trying to get everything back on track. And rounding out the top 10 is Carson Frank in car number 52. So there were 10 cautions for 50 laps, 8 lead changes for between 5 drivers. George Davids led the most laps. Connor Stanton was the high climber, and the margin of victory was 0.3 of a second. If you want to head straight to the 13th race of the season, you just click on the left, the annotation on the left. If you want to just head to the other Cayce Duel, the 12B on the NOVAR calendar, just click the annotation on the right. But anyways, the next time the NOVAR these drivers will hit the track will be at the New York Auto Ring in Albany, New York.